Agent, it's Dr. Candle. I want to stress to you the vital importance of safeguarding any civilians you may come across. The math says some of those people must have survived the dollar flu. That means they've got antibodies to it that I need to have a hope in hell of fighting this thing. And the ones who are just sick, having a broader genetic diversity of virus samples will help us track the virus's rate of mutation, which is a long way to say, keep those people alive until I get what I need from them. Got that? Great. Forget what I said about keeping any infected refugees alive. I mean, obviously you're going to try and keep them all alive, but I need those virus samples, and I really need viable antibody samples to survive. So keep them extra alive, I guess. Damn yard. And when they do, they're gonna kill every last refugee in that shanty town. We need that tank moved somewhere safe. lock the situation down. I've got a joint Sarah JTF strike force ready to move in.
We'll take samples from as many refugees as they can find. Medical personnel? A couple of EMTs in the mix, Doctor? Yes. A couple? As in only two?
The rest are first aid certified. They know how to tackle things. Get going, Aid. Without contaminating the samples, I assume. Or infecting themselves. Yes. I'll take your word for it. Thank you, Doctor. Get moving, Agent.
Perfect.
That should do it, Agent. Solid work.
Warning. Now entering a contaminated area.
Hey, what is up, everyone? The LDB is back at it again, coming at you today with my Lone Star PvE build for 1.8.3. Now, this build does a lot of damage and has great sustainability. I can't wait to show you the weapons and the character sheet, and when you see them, you'll know what I mean. So, as always, if you enjoy or find these videos helpful, definitely smash that like button, subscribe for future content. If you are new to the channel, make sure you have that notification bell on, and drop a comment down there letting everybody know how you're running Lone Star and PvE for 1.8.3. So, let's get into it. Okay, so let's go over these skills and talents really quick. Nothing too crazy here. I'm going to be using a booster shot. Temporarily increases damage and damage resistance. The damage increase is what I am interested in. When you pop this, you get 15% damage up. So do a little bit of math with me here. When your Berserk goes off, when Lone Star procs and your Berserk goes off, that's 30% damage up, right? Well, if you pop this on top of it, that's another 15%, taking you to 45% damage up. That is huge. All damage up 45%. And you have to think, using an LMG maxed out, you get 22% damage up out of cover. So it all just really snowballs, really nice, and I've been loving this build. Now, you could always go with a pulse, but really the crit chance and damage, I've more focused on enemy armor damage, damage to elites, things like that over the crit chance. But you know, to each their own, whatever you want to do. This will definitely help you out, get the crit chance and damage up. But other than that, I'm going to be going with an immunizer, just simply because I really hate status effect. It's just my thing. When you go into PvE and you get burned by those heavies, it just sucks. So I spec'd a little bit into burn resistance, and then with the immunizer, I've been sitting pretty for a while here. So, you know, again, you can go with whatever you want, but that's what I've been running with. Now, as far as the signature skill, going with a recovery link, because flying solo overall, you know, definitely need a second life every now and then. But also, when you're with a group, you can pick other group members up. You could always go with attack link if you are in a group. If you want to play it a little bit more risky, and you know, just flying solo, that's up to you. But attack link is definitely awesome because, again, damage buff up 30%. So your Lone Star Berserk goes off 30% up. If you pop this, that's another 30% up. And then if you pop your booster shot on top, that's another 15% up. I mean, the damage is crazy. And then again, 22% damage to targets out of cover with an LMG. Absolutely nasty numbers. You can put bosses down like nothing with this build. It's absolutely awesome, especially with the group. So other than that, let's move on to the talents. Okay, so the talents that I'm going to be using are Critical Save. Use a medkit during low health to increase damage resistance 20%. So that's a great one. If you are really getting lit up in a pinch, you can pop that medkit. You get your health back on top of the damage resistance. You can usually fall back and, you know, get to cover, heal up a little bit, and then keep on going. That'll definitely help out a lot. Now, moving on to Precision. This is where I'm basically going to be getting a lot of my crit chance and damage from the build. Pretty straightforward. Headshot a hostile to pulse them for 10 seconds. Now, moving on to Steady Hands. This is like a must for me. I highly recommend you try this out if you're not already using it. Enter any cover to reduce recoil by 25% for 10 seconds. This is huge because if you remember in my other Lone Star video, I mentioned that I am absolutely terrible with LMGs. It just doesn't feel natural to me. There's this big clunky thing on my back. I mean, it's just, it doesn't feel right. Either way, regardless, entering cover and reducing that recoil by 25% is a great thing. And again, you don't have to even stay in the cover. You pop in, pop out, 25% reduction of recoil, and you should be landing a lot more shots that way. At least should help you out a little bit. And hey, if you are good with an LMG, put this on too, because hey, you're going to be landing that many more, right? I don't know. Try it out. I definitely recommend it. Now, moving on to On the Move. Kill a hostile while moving to reduce incoming damage 15%. So, again, pretty straightforward. This is going to be going off pretty frequently because you put them down pretty fast. So, I mean, that's about it for the talents. So, let's get on to the build itself. And here it is. So, as you can see, nothing crazy. We have a 6-piece classified Lone Star. We have the stamina at 6,900 and the firearms at 5,900. So basically a 6 and 7 build. I went a little bit more into stamina, and we broke that 500,000 toughness barrier. I feel pretty comfortable here, and it's working out really nice. Now, I would be able to get it to a true 6 and 7 build, except I am using purple mods, and those mods have a lower roll compared to the yellow mods, and you know, so that's basically all that is. But they definitely serve a purpose, and I'm not complaining at all. So let's take a look at what we're actually going to get from Lone Star, and then we will get into the rest of the build. The 2-piece here gives you that 100% ammo capacity. That's awesome. So if you can't get ammo on your chest or your backpack, it's not that big of a deal. You're going to get a lot from the gear set itself. Now, I would recommend putting it on at least one, your chest piece or your backpack, if you can't get it on both, because if you can stack that on top of what you're getting from the gear set, you should be doing just fine. And especially in resistance mode, where ammo definitely comes into play, the more you have on your set, the better it is. So moving on, we have the 3-piece here that gives us that 8% LMG damage and 8% shotgun damage up. Hey, can't complain there. The 4-piece gives you the talent Lone Star. When the weapon is holstered, it is instantly reloaded. So no more 5.5 second reload time. You simply swap weapons and it is automatically reloaded. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Now, the 5-piece gives you another 50% ammo capacity and another 12% LMG damage and 12% shotgun damage. So you could go with an LMG or a shotgun on this build. I just like the LMGs for the distance and things like that, but to each their own, whatever you like to do. Now, when that Berserk goes off, which is the 6-piece talent with a shotgun, that's super fun. I gotta give it to you on that. Now, let's take a look at what Berserk actually is. When a weapon has 50% of its magazine remaining in combat, there is a 75% chance to receive a bonus that activates when the final bullet is fired from the current magazine. Once activated, the magazine is instantly refilled, weapon damage and fire rate is increased by 30%. That is... That's just so overpowered in PvE, it is ridiculous. The bonus is canceled by reloading, swapping weapons, or exiting combat. So pretty straightforward there. Halfway through your mag, a little icon will appear and will tell you if you have Lone Star proc, or Berserk proc rather. And once you fire that last bullet out of the magazine, it's instantly refilled and you get 30% damage up and rate of fire. So I'm loving it. I'm loving Lone Star. I've always been a big fan of it, and this one is absolutely a shredder. So let's take a look at the weapons and then the gear pieces. Okay, so my primary weapon that I'm going to be using is an MG5. I absolutely love this weapon because it works so good, but at the same time, I hate it because it's just so big and bulky. Like I said before, it just feels unnatural. I mean, look at this thing. It is absolutely huge. I would not like to carry this thing around for any given length of time in real life, I'll tell you that. I mean, I'm not exactly a small guy, but I mean... that's a huge bitch, you know what I'm saying? So either way, I even brought out the Elemental Ashes skin for it because this thing absolutely melts. It is a maxed out weapon. We got 22% damage to targets out of cover, 20.3k per bullet, got good RPM, and a big mag, and I'll go over why in just a moment. The talents on the weapon: Deadly, Destructive, and Ferocious. For me, this is pretty much God roll for anything on the DPS side of PvE. You got Deadly going to town on your crit damage, getting that up as much as possible. Destructive, knocking their armor down. And we got Ferocious. Anybody that has a yellow bar, 10% damage up. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Let me know what you're thinking about that down there in the comments, what your favorite 3 is for PvE. I'd be interested to know. Now, let's take a look at the mods. I do have a magazine with mag size, crit damage, and rate of fire. So it does have some rate of fire, but it's not just a rate of fire magazine. I went with a big mag because I feel like in PvE, it's a little different than PvP, where you always want your Berserk going as much as possible, constant, right? In PvE, you kind of, you can do your thing without Berserk. This thing hits like a truck without it. That's just the cherry on top afterwards. So that's why I went with a big mag. And also, when this does go off, when Berserk does proc, you have a lot more bullets to shoot with, while going Berserk. So that definitely works out nice in PvE. It's a little different from PvP, but again, to each their own, whatever you want to go with. Now, the optics that I'm using has crit chance, crit damage, and headshot damage. The muzzle also has crit damage, crit chance, and headshot damage, and the underbarrel has crit damage with accuracy and optimal range, so I can reach out there a little bit farther, every little bit counts. So that's the primary weapon. Let's take a look at my secondary. It is not maxed out yet. I'm working on it, but it's still working out nice. The talents really do make the weapon. We have Predatory, Self-Preserved, and Sustained. Straight up healer. Just raw healing weapon. No matter what you're doing, you're getting some kind of health back. You kill somebody, you get that 35% over 20 seconds with Predatory. Every crit hit that is actually going to be doing a lot of damage, you get 3% back. So that is awesome right there. And then every time they go down, 6% on top. So in a pinch, instead of popping your med kit, try and take out a couple NPCs real quick, because you can put them down very quickly, and you get that chunk of health back, as well as predatory proc, and just keep on rolling with it. It's awesome. So those are my primary weapons here. I even have a shotgun, since we do get shotgun damage up with Lone Star, right? This one here, nothing crazy, deadly, responsive, and competent. So in a pinch, I don't use it much. I rarely ever do. I mean, not that much, but I mean, you look at that base damage, 169,000 and 335% stagger there. That's pretty awesome, with deadly responsive. So if they're getting up close to you, you pop your booster shot, whatever, bam bam, 15% damage. I mean, it works out nice. It definitely works out nice. So either way, that is the weapons. Let's go on to the gear pieces themselves. Okay, so my chest piece that I have is rolled for stamina. We have health, enemy armor damage, and ammo capacity on it, so we're doing pretty good there, I think. And I have 2 stamina with damage to elite mods on here. Now, they are pretty low roll. They're only 186, and they're only 3%ers, so if you can do any better than that, you're going to be ahead of me, by a long shot there. So either way, moving on to the mask here, we have rolled for stamina as well, with enemy armor damage and damage to elites, and we have a firearms with damage to elite mods on here. It's pretty much like a mid-range. It's a good one because it's a 210 firearms, but it's only a 3% damage to elite. So again, if you can do better, hey, that's awesome. Now moving on to the knee pads here, we have rolled for firearms with enemy armor damage, damage to elites, and increased kill XP with burn resistance. This is awesome. I mean, pretty much everything I expect, everything I want on knee pads is right there. I mean, that's awesome for me. Now moving on to the mods here, we have a firearms with damage to elites and a 6% first aid self-heal. This build has no kind of self-heal, so when you do pop your first aid, you want it to do a little bit more. I was going with pulse crit chance mods and running with a pulse, but honestly, I was feeling like I was falling a little bit short on the healing end, and so I swapped over to this, and it's been working out awesome. But again, to each their own. So moving on to the holster here, it's almost maxed out. I've just basically focused on the firearms and stamina. It does have some crit chance. I was going to go with skill haste, but I figured, we'll go with a little bit of crit chance. Can't hurt anything, right? So it's been working out good, and we have a 6% first aid self-heal on there as well. Now, the gloves, they are rolled for stamina. They're maxed out here. We got enemy armor damage, LMG damage, and crit chance. I went with the chance over the damage because we're stacking damage a lot easier with the mods on the weapons than the chance on the weapons or on the gear pieces themselves. So I went with the chance just to get that up a little bit higher. And now the backpack, we have rolled for firearms with health and burn resistance. Again, I'm not running with ammo on my backpack here, so and I'm still holding 2,700 rounds, so it's still, you're still doing pretty good. Health, burn resistance, and the mods that we have on here is a firearms with damage to elites and 2 more 6% first aid self heals. So that's the build in itself right there. Let's take a look at the character sheet really quick. The per bullet damage, like we were saying, 20.2. Okay, I mean, we're doing nice there. We got 20% crit chance. That's not the best, but after precision goes into effect, we're doing a lot better there. Crit damage, again, not too great, but we have other things that push this build, like the headshot damage being at 97%. If you hit them in the face, they don't, I mean, they go down in a few bullets. Honestly, it's not, a lot of times it's not very many bullets at all. If you can land in the face, they go right down. They just kind of fall right over. Reload time is 0 seconds. Well, 1 second probably, because it takes time to swap weapons, but that is not accurate at all. Moving on, we have the LMG damage up 32%. 32% LMG damage up, on top of Berserk, on top of the booster shot, etc., etc. The damage to elites, it's amazing. This build is great. And again, we have that 20% shotgun damage up. The damage to elites on the build is 53%, so we're getting to that max there. We're almost there, but again, I don't have the best damage to elite mods. They're only 3%ers, otherwise it would be a little bit more than that, so you could probably, maybe beat me on that. We have the enemy armor damage at 41%, so that is awesome on an LMG build. So we're melting through that armor. We are hitting them elites super hard. 22% damage out of cover. it just adds up really nice, and we're just ripping it. I mean, this is awesome. Skill power doesn't really matter. Toughness 506,000, and a max health almost 350,000. 347,000 is not bad, I don't think. It's been working out pretty good for me. The armor, it's getting there. Like I said, it's a work in progress. I haven't maxed it out yet, and it still hits like a truck. This thing still works amazing, and it's not even fully maxed out. Got a little bit of health regen, so on and so forth. Now, we don't have any other kind of resistance other than burn. Like I said, I don't like to get burned, so I just said, you know what, I'm going to focus on that, and it worked out great. 48% burn resistance, and on top of having an immunizer, nothing that has a flame is going to touch me for the most part, at least. So it's been working out pretty good like that. If you can get, you know, your bleed, a little bit of burn, and then your shock, those are the three that I typically go for, but on this I just said, whatever. I'm focusing on damage to elites and enemy armor damage. You can't really spec for the other resistances, and I got lucky. I didn't actually get ammo on my backpack, and I put burn resistance. It made it up to 48% there, so it's been working out great. I mean, it is what it is, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely smash that like button. Subscribe for future content if you are new to the channel. Make sure you have that notification bell on, as well as go ahead and drop a comment down there letting everybody know how you've been running Lone Star in PvE for 1.8.3. So until next time, guys, I hope you take it easy. I will see you then. Later.